I don't hear you echoing.
Oh, wait a minute. I figured it out now. All right. I'm like, why is it I hear myself echoing in my ear? All right, everybody, good morning. Everybody can hear me loud and clear. Put a 1 in the chat or get on the mic and let me know if I sound clear. Let me know if anything's too loud, too low.
Everything
And
sounds perfect.
there we go. Miss D, good morning. Good to see you.
Good
That's
day.
right. We got Mark and Hadassah in here so far. Let me see. Hadassah, what's going on with the training program? You're doing Tribe Flex, you're doing Tribe Solid. What's going on? I know you said you wanted to show me some video on your workout form and you wanted some feedback.
Yeah, how are you doing today?
I'm all right. I'm doing pretty well. Good morning so far.
Good. Yeah, is this something that we can talk about privately?
Oh
Because
yeah,
I'm a
absolutely.
okay. Yeah, but I haven't been doing I'm not doing either. I've been doing my own workout plan that I had created a while ago. I've just been doing that for the last 4 weeks. But yeah, I'll talk to
Gotcha.
you more and we can see what I'm doing wrong or what I need to be doing because I'm totally lost.
Uh-oh. All right, fair enough. Yeah, we can get into that.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely. Well, Mark, what's going on? Good morning. And let me go ahead and give a shout. Tiff, what's going on? Good morning. Good to see you in here. Better Habits Together. What's going on? This is a topic and a conversation that we have to have a lot more frequently than we think, right? We are, as a species, fairly old, fairly ancient. And we operate on a pretty complex game space. We've got AI, we've got internet, high-speed internet, we got 4K. We have the modern conveniences of very advanced AI, touch screen. You know, I can talk to people in different time zones, broadcasting live to anywhere from 10 people to 100 to 1,000 people at the same time. And y'all can see me in real time in high definition video. Y'all can see every nook and cranny in my face. Y'all can see each individual beard hair, right? It's nuts, the technology we have access to. We can go on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. We can scroll through endless amounts of videos. We can watch hour-and-a-half videos. We can watch 30-second videos, 1-minute videos. You can watch hundreds of videos in one day, and you can scroll through. You can watch 5 seconds of 100 videos every day. You can scroll and scroll and scroll endlessly. Somebody's out in the Rocky Mountains, snowfall. You can skip. The next thing you know, it's a woman on the beach. You can skip. It's a cat video. You can skip. It's lizards and snakes, right? You can visually overload yourself. You can audibly overload yourself because there's nonstop stimulation. We've got complex jobs. We're typing in things into prompts. We're in live meetings on Zoom and Google Meet and all this. We're sending emails. We're doing all this. Very fast-paced stuff, right? A lot of real-time data and feedback. I was born in the 80s and largely grew up in the 90s. I remember when I was a kid, if you wanted to communicate with your friends, you had to leave your house, primarily. If you wanted to speak to them on the phone, you had to memorize their number or have it written down. You had to go to the phone on the wall. The wall had a jack that you could plug into the wall. The phone would be hanging on the wall. And so for me, if I wanted to talk to a friend, if I wanted to call my friend, I had to wake up, I had to go downstairs. I had to grab the phone off the wall. I had to press the buttons for their phone number. I remember before you had to press 1 first and then their area code, there was a point in time you didn't have to press the area code, right? So if you was in New York City or whatever the case is, you didn't have to type in 917 and then the rest of their number. You just type in the number. And you hold the phone to your ear, and then their parents would pick up. And then you would have to ask their parents, hey, can I speak to my friend? Right? There wasn't no touch screen, there wasn't all that. You had to wait for the phone to ring. They'd have to pick up the phone. You'd have to ask to speak to your friend. You'd have to wait for them to come to the phone, all this. And the reason why you'd call your friend and get them on the phone is because y'all would coordinate to see where y'all were going to meet up at. And you had to coordinate to see where you were going to meet up at before you left the house, because you didn't have your phone on you. This is before like cell phones and all this, right? So you had to coordinate ahead of time. Y'all would have to make plans. Hey, at this time, we're going to meet at this place. This is what I will be wearing, right? This kind of thing. Or you can yell out the window. We would do that sometimes. We would yell out the window in the morning. If we were close enough. I lived in a house and my cousin was around the corner. He lived in a house similar to mine. And then I had friends on the same block. And so we can go up, we can yell out the window. And we would talk to each other, yelling out the window. Right? Video games didn't have high graphics, right? Video games were 8-bit, 16-bit and all this, right? This was back in the NES and Sega Genesis days. A video game was like max 2 hours. You couldn't really spend a whole lot of time playing a video game. We didn't have air conditioning. You had a fan in the window when it was hot. So we had every excuse to go outside. We had every excuse to socialize. And you had to be fairly good at socializing, because if you wouldn't, well, the social world, your friend circle, it would eat you alive for being weird. So there were skills that you had to cultivate. Planning. Your stuff had to be fairly premeditated. You had to be fairly well adjusted socially, all this stuff. We used to hop fences, go to the park, play basketball, handball, stuff like this. We had basketball cards, we would trade cards, all this. Now you can have a social life and never leave your house. Even with television, I remember back in the day, before cable television, there was a few channels. What was it? It was Channel 11, Channel 9, Channel 7, Channel 5, and like Channel 2. Maybe sometimes Channel 30, what was it? Channel 31 or 13 would come on. Yeah, I mentioned Channel 7. It was, yeah, but I'm going from order, right? It was 31, it was 13, 11, 9, 7, 5, and Channel 2. And, well, if there wasn't anything on the television that was interesting, you couldn't scroll. That's it. There's nothing interesting on television. That's all you had. You had those handful of channels, and if there wasn't really anything interesting on those channels, and guess what? You just had to go find something else to do. Right? There was no scrolling. There wasn't no 30-second videos. There wasn't no 1 minute, 3 minute videos. There wasn't shorts. There wasn't reels. There wasn't TikToks. There was even a point in time where after a certain point in time, what was it, like 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, something like this, there were no television shows. That was it. Broadcast over. You just had to go to sleep. That's it. Nothing else on television. So, the world that we live in now, everything is really, really accessible. And so we have a lot of vices to contend with. You can watch television from your phone. You don't got to get up. You can stay in bed, have a social life, laying flat on your back in your bed. Our modern conveniences have opened the gateway for us to be really lazy. if you wanted to learn something, there was no Google back in the day. At most, you had like Ask Jeeves or something like this. But for the most part, you had to like leave the house and go to the library if you wanted to learn something. You had to go into a library and you had to find your book in alphabetical order. So you had to go to the section in the library with the particular subject topic, and then you'd have to find the book according to alphabetical order. Or you had to go and ask the librarian, hey, I'm looking for a particular book, or I'm looking to learn about a particular subject. Right? Me growing up as a kid, we had encyclopedias in the house. Right? So you would learn things from the encyclopedia. You had to read. It wasn't like you can just watch a video on it. It wasn't like that. You had to read about a particular thing. You had to get up, leave your house to go learn stuff. So we have a new set of problems, and we even have old problems today that have been turbocharged. So I'm bringing up the old school stuff and the nostalgia, kind of dating myself, but to set the context of what I'm talking about now. We tired. We tired, boss. Right? We are more worn out than we realize. It's one thing to work a physical job and be worn out physically. Being worn out physically is one thing. Being worn out mentally and emotionally is another thing. Because once you wear out your brain chemistry, everything else is shot from you. Your physical body can recover way faster than your mind can. Right? We live in a time now where human beings have not adapted to how easy it is to wear out and distort your brain chemistry. You can fry your nervous system with overstimulation. And the human body is designed to protect us from overstimulation. A very simple example of this is pain. If you experience enough pain, your pain receptors will shut off, even to the degree where your brain is shut down, you just pass out, to protect you from that overstimulation. Once you've passed your pain threshold, boom, lights out. We have dopamine, right? And we can be put into a dopamine feedback loop where we're pursuing novelty. This is the thing about TikToks and Reels and Shorts and things like that. You can just keep scrolling and it's a new thing every single time. Every new piece of content is a novel piece of content. And you get a dopamine hit from it. And dopamine hit after dopamine hit after dopamine hit after dopamine hit gives you all this increasing, escalating level of stimulation. And you can be overstimulated, and your brain will protect you from that overstimulation. And one thing that happens is those dopamine receptors, they become burnt out over time. This is a very important thing to talk about because we're dealing with decision fatigue. We're dealing with a numbness. Drive is diminishing. We're not as motivated as we used to be. And we think it's an age thing. Oh, when I was younger, I used to be able to go all day. I used to be a lot more motivated, but I'm getting older now. And so, things are kind of slow down. It's not really age. It's not really that. You're tired. We tired, boss. We tired. It's important to know that your physiological age is very different than your chronological age. How many years you've been on the planet is not really a thing that determines how much energy you have. It's not really that. It's how many decisions you have to make, how much stimulation you've experienced over time. And look, these things, you rack up a debt and they wear you out. If y'all have been following me long enough, what do I always tell you to do? I always tell you, hey, you got to narrow your focus. Because narrowing your focus protects you from this overstimulation. Because you get overstimulated, you get burnt out, you don't feel like doing anything. If your diet plan is too complicated, you got to be putting all this and that and mixing this and that. And you got to stir this, you're going to turn the temperature down on this, turn the temperature up on that. You got to chop this, dice that. So go back to stirring this, put this in the oven this amount of time. You got to do all this type of stuff. Look, You can do it every once in a while, but when you're doing that on a daily basis, it will wear you out emotionally. It's too overstimulating. It's too much going on. Even if you're used to doing it. Look, this is why people get tired of meal prep. It's a lot of moving parts. And now combine paying taxes, paying a mortgage, paying bills, paying credit card bills, handling deadlines, going to work every day, working long hours, raising kids, nurturing a marriage. Then you're on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, then you're working out, then you got to remember to meal prep. It's a lot of stuff. All these things, they build up on you, they weigh you down. Us as human beings, we have limitations. We're not evolved for life to just be coming at us like this all the time in this complex fashion. We're not really evolved to do that. There's a lot of conversation about men. Oh, it's a low testosterone epidemic, low testosterone, low testosterone. I get ads for testosterone supplements, testosterone boosters. I'm like, I don't even know why I'm getting these ads. I'm with testosterone motivation or drive. I don't have a problem with these things. I don't know why I get these things. But the algorithm is like, oh, that's a male. Right? So I get ads like manscaping. Buy this thing. It makes it a lot easier to shave your balls. Get Marsman, it'll raise your testosterone. Take this pill, it'll get you an erection that'll last for 36 hours. I'm like, why am I, you know. No. But I get it, right? You got alienation from your labor. Because you go to a job every day, you work long hours, but you don't own your labor. You're selling your labor and your time to an employer. And that employer tries to get as much of your labor and time as possible and wants to pay you as little as possible. Not a favorable set of circumstances, and you kind of know this is happening. You're being sucked dry and it's wearing you out. And it's overstimulating. You're not getting a whole lot in return. It's creating alienation. Right? This is another issue we have. And as a man, your problem is not really the testosterone or raising your testosterone. In order to raise your testosterone, you have to fix something else further along the chain. You got to reverse the overstimulation. You have to get dopamine resensitization. Right? This is also the case for women, right? Because you can collapse your progesterone levels to the point where you miss your menstrual cycle. You go through early menopause, things like this. Right? Women go through menopause, men go through andropause. It's kind of the same thing, but not. There are a lot of differences between men and women, but fundamentally, not a whole lot. So, having the context and the awareness of what our issues are. It's this overstimulation. I'm over here getting ads, like I said, for, hey, take this to, use this to shave your balls, then put this pill under your tongue for an erection and arousal, and then take this thing to raise your testosterone. I'm like, these things don't even apply to me. I'm not even looking for stuff like this. I don't even know why I'm getting ads like this. It don't make no sense. But it's an indication of the times. That's kind of why I'm talking about this, because I see the ads, and I'm like, if I'm getting these ads, I know everybody's getting these ads, because these ads don't have anything to do with what my interests are. But this is a sign of like, look, we're just over, and there's an attention economy, and you have all, social media influencers and things like this, and they're doing things to gain your attention. Right? So we have all the jump cuts and the stock footage and the AI generated videos and all of this type of stuff to create attention. And I get it, right? Attention span is declining, and attention span is not declining because we're getting dumber necessarily. We're overstimulated. And it's too easy to get what we want. It's too easy. So yeah, put this thing under your tongue to get an erection, because well, that's easy. But what about like fixing your diet, doing the mental work, working on your mindset, changing your bedtime to get to bed earlier, being more exposed to direct sunlight, being outside and watching the sunrise or the sunset, this type of thing. Nurturing your marriage so that you're naturally more attracted and closer to your spouse, right? These types of things. Well, that sounds complicated. Can I just take a pill? Right? I got to cut out all of this stuff that I like to eat. I got to exercise. I got to sleep well. I got to have a strategy that's conducive towards improving my brain chemistry so that I can have higher testosterone. Can I just take a pill? It's too accessible, right? There's a problem with things being too accessible. And we're not adapted to that. That's not normal. So we tired. That's really what it comes down to. We tired. So what do we do? The only thing we're left with doing. You have the choice, proverbially, of sitting on your couch, having a coffee table in front of you with a remote on it, and then there's a TV. You can whip out your phone and just watch TV on your phone, or you can get up, grab the remote, and turn the television on and watch TV that way. Or you can get up, walk past the remote, and press the button on the television to change the channel and whatnot on the television manually. Those are your three options in life. You can extrapolate that to life. You can just take a pill, or you can start making lifestyle changes. The lifestyle changes is the thing that's really going to give you the buck. Ends up being cheaper too, and ends up giving you more benefits, even benefits that you weren't really expecting. When's the last time you've been outside for a walk without your shoes on? When was the last time you were outside early enough to catch the sunrise? When was the last time you had a day where you just ate fruit for that day? When was the last time you've spent the whole day in the woods? Sat at a waterfall, right? Or a rushing river, right? When's the last time you've done these things? When's the last time you went foraging? When's the last time you went foraging with your spouse and your kids? When's the last time you washed clothes outside in a bucket and hang them on a clothing line? These are things that could be a bit antiquated, but they're very close to what the human experience is supposed to be. And the further away we deviate from the mean, the more stress there is. There's a gravitational pull pulling us back to the mean. And so the further away you drift, you start to lose yourself. When people say, I haven't been feeling like myself lately, it's probably because you've deviated too far from the mean. So you got to find your way back home. You're way out ahead of your skis. You're way out too far from home. You got to come back. So rather than necessarily taking a pill or putting something underneath your tongue or whatever the case is, sometimes you just need to do something a lot simpler than that. But there's just more steps to the simple thing, and it's finding your way back home. It could be back home literally, or it could be back home spiritually. Finding your way back home to your kids, finding your way back home to your spouse, finding your way back home literally, finding your way back home to where you grew up, to where you were born. Finding your way back home to yourself. You've been on a long journey, and that long journey, well, at some point, you got to come back around. You got to come home. So what is home? What does that look like when you strip away all the complications? I've been coaching for a long time. I've been saying the same thing for years, and it just works. There are rules. Rule number one, the program is undefeated and will remain that way. Nobody defeats the program. All of us exist within a game space, and that game space has rules, and when we break those rules, we pay for it. Those are rules that I often refer to as universal law. At the top, and what I've been talking about this whole entire time, convenience is a great place to visit. It's a terrible place to stay. You lean into the conveniences way too long, they make you weaker. Your bones become more brittle, your tendons become weaker, your ligaments become weaker, the muscles shrink, your metabolic health declines, and you age. And you feel the aging process, and rather than blaming it on your physiological condition based on your habits, you blame it on how many years you've been on the planet, how many times you've made it all the way around the sun. So people say, well, that's just a product of getting old. Maybe not. It's often not the case. You can slow down aging. You can reverse your aging. You can do both. You can. I've done it. I know people who've done it. But you got to follow the rules, right? One of the main steps, actually the first step of self-development is discovery of yourself. And this is important because there are faults. You may be struggling financially, struggling economically, struggling socially, and you can blame it on the political climate, you can blame it on the economy, you can blame it on other people, right? Everybody's just dumb. Everybody's just so angry all the time. Everybody's lazy. Everybody's this, everybody's that. You can blame everybody. You can blame all your politicians. You can blame social media. You can blame all these externalities. You can. I'm not here to tell you you're wrong, but you may be skipping steps. And another important rule is do not skip steps. Order of operation matters. It's like when we're learning algebra, and there's an abbreviation called PEMDAS, right? Y'all remember that? Order of operations, right? You do everything first in the parentheses, and you work backwards from there. What was it? Parentheses equals multiplication, division, addition, subtraction. And that abbreviation, that acronym, basically is a reminder of the order of operations to solve that algebraic equation. So if you do the subtraction first, wrong. You do the addition first, wrong. You do the multiplication first, wrong. Parentheses equals multiplication, division, addition, subtraction. PEMDAS, right? Order of operations. It's mathematical law. Same thing applies to life itself. Life in a nutshell is math. It's all math. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. That's okay. Yeah, there you go. So the first thing you do in mindset and self-development is answering the question of I am. I am. Number one, before you go to anything else, I am. Everything starts with I am. What is the essence of who you are? What are you? You choose. There's not really a wrong answer. The answer is whatever, Us as human beings, we can choose to be whoever we want to be. But you got to work for it. Individuality is a very real thing across human beings. We're all very different. We're all very much the same in a lot of ways, but very different. And the thing that makes us unique is we get to choose whatever we want to do. You want to be an engineer, you want to be a doctor, you want to be an artist, You want to cause chaos. You want to reduce chaos. You want to create order. You want to disrupt order. Whatever you want to do. You choose. But I am what? And before you can say, I am a doctor, no, that's not the essence of who you are. That's the thing that you do. That is an occupation that you practice. I say I am. It's the essence of who you are. I am curious. I am vibrant. I am attractive. I am playful. I am childish. I am wise. I am stubborn. I am rigid. I am traditional. I am agile. I am creative. I am rhythmic. These are the kind of traits where you start with I am, and then you expand from there, because the essence of who you are would tell you what, as far as an occupation is concerned, what suits you based on your traits. I am chaotic. Well, you may be good at leading a revolution or part of it, right? Of course, there's got to be a hedge to the chaos, right? Because chaos implies violent, explosive energy, force, movement, right? And chaos can be very magical and very beautiful, or it can be very destructive and very ugly. So how you cultivate it and how you demonstrate it matters. But if you say, I am chaotic, I am chaos, okay, you're going to need to pair some traits along with that in order to contain it, in order to control it, in order to leverage it. Because without those other traits that you can use to leverage it, well, it can destroy you and everything around you. It's that kind of thing, right? So this is why we start with I am. It implies multiple traits, and these traits come together and they balance each other out, right? A tree is not just wood. A tree is not just leaves. A tree is not just branches. A tree is not just wood. It's not just roots. It's a mix of all kinds of things. A tree is a timekeeper. A tree is a home. A tree is a resource. A tree is the foundation for creation, right? A tree is the blood vessel of the planet, a conduit. It's a lot of different things. It has the essence of what a tree is. There's a lot of different things that make it this majestic thing, right? Once you answer I am and you have those traits, then you can extrapolate that out onto what you do. And that's when it can be, I am a mother, I am a father, I am an engineer, I am a builder, I am a networker, right? You can be a networker. You can bring various people together. I am attractive. Well, that's a good trait for a networker. That's a great trait for an influencer. I want to influence people to pursue their best version of themselves. I like that. That's what I'm attempting to do now. The reason why I'm bringing that up is because once I inject the question of I am, once we open up those possibilities, once we cultivate that curiosity, the fatigue dissipates. We tired, boss. Well, have you considered this? Oh, what's that? Well, this opens up all these opportunities and allows you to get better rest and recovery. Oh, for real? Oh, tell me more. Once you take your mental bandwidth and you plug it into curiosity and opportunity and potential, the fatigue starts to dissipate. It's a counterweight. It's a pivot. That's the gateway to freeing your mind and recovering your mental and emotional bandwidth. This is what happened in my personal life. I've been through some very dark times. Very dark. I've lost everything in my life. Felt like I had nothing left. I went through massive failures, major losses. My first biggest set of major losses caused me to be a minimalist. And minimalism is one of the things that saved my life and has allowed me to be able to get to where I am now. One of the benefits of being a minimalist is you're able to let go of things that you don't really need, because you're holding on to a lot of things that you feel you need. You feel like you need them because you've had them for so long. You're not willing to part with them because there's a sentimental and emotional value to all these things you're holding. But the more things you take on and the more things you hold, the less opportunity you have. You have less room to take on more things. You're over encumbered. So either you willingly become a minimalist or you'll be forced to do it later, because you can only hold on to so many things. You only have 2 hands, 10 fingers. So minimalism. But you got to start with the question of I am. I am is a willing engagement in minimalism. All the complexities of the world, there's all these things you don't like, there's all these places you don't like, there's all these people you don't like, there's all these circumstances you don't like, there's all these things you don't like. Fine. Let's take all that off the table for a second. We're just going to focus on I am. It's a form of minimalism. You've just removed all these other things. We're just going to focus on this very narrow thing. I'm a basketball player. No, that's the thing you do. I am a parent. No, that's a circumstance. I am fat. That's a circumstance. That's not an I am. It's not I am fat. That's a set of circumstances. I am is the essence of who you are. It's not a body weight. A body weight is a thing that's subject to change. You walk 10 miles a day, you eat a certain way, and then that trait vanishes. Is that still the essence of who you are? No, it's a set of circumstances. It's not an identity trait. You don't identify with circumstances. I am a parent. Well, God forbid there ends up being a day where you are no longer a parent. Is the essence of who you are gone? No. I am a doctor. Well, what happens if you can no longer practice being a doctor? Do you lose the essence of who you are? No. It's a thing you do. It's an occupation. It's an externality. It's very important. That's why I say minimalism, focusing on the essence of who you are. Everything else stems from that. If you cannot answer I am, you're going to be real tired, because confusion, misunderstanding, it creates fatigue. It's very exhausting to engage with something you don't understand. It's very fatiguing. It's very exhausting to constantly engage with something that's confusing. It's like being in a relationship with somebody. They're not a clear communicator. They're gaslighting you. All this. It's like, all right, I don't even want to have this conversation. It's wearing me out. You may have too many complaints. Lord knows I have a lot of complaints. I take time almost every day to air my grievances and complaints. I do this. People tell you should never complain. That's not true. You should. You get your complaints out. Once you get your complaints out, you move on. It's important to know what your complaints are. But once you get your complaints out, there has to be a next step. What's the next step? You got to go back to minimalism. What do all these complaints stem from, and how much control over these complaints do you have? Because your complaints may be a thing that ignites the fire for you to do something. And hopefully what you do is more beneficial to your life. I got complaints about the economy. I got complaints about our politics. I got complaints about our social dynamic. I got complaints about these things. I got complaints about being under the constant threat of economic duress. I got complaints about these things. I got complaints about our food system, the vulnerabilities in our food system, the competition between capitalism and human well-being and flourishing. I got complaints about these things. These are valid complaints. But let's scale back to the essence of who I am, who we are, and then analyze, well, how much control do you have over the about? And then where is most of your control? Where is most of your control? Out of all the things in your life, the things you like, the things you don't like, what do you have the most control over? And then you lean into that control. And expanding on that control and using that control in order to change a set of circumstances that you have the most control over, that spills into other areas of your life. I don't like the economic duress, but I found a way to be able to print money when I need it. I found a way. And I'm getting better at printing that money. And within a year, 2 years' time, my ability to be able to print money on demand is going to significantly change my life. It currently is. I'm laying the foundation for it now. Right? But I found that because I'm like, well, how does money actually work? How does it move? Why does it move the way that it moves? You had to boil it down in its simplest form. Where is most of the money? Who has it? Where is it? How is it moving? How fast is it moving? Once you figure that out, you know what to do, right? Human health, your human metabolism. At the end of the day, the human metabolism is governed by inflows and outflows, giving something to get something. Something in is something out, right? Out of all the things that you don't like about the human metabolism, meaning disease, disorders, metabolic disease, metabolic disorder, foundationally, fundamentally, what is the root causes of these problems, other than like food poisoning and things like this? If you had to boil it down in its simplest form, what is it? Well, one of those things I can tell you is dehydration. Cool. So if you want to improve your metabolic health, what is a primary thing you have to do? What is a key fundamental thing that has to be in your plan to improve your metabolic health? Hydration. There's a lot of friction between energy usage and energy cultivation. Your body produces energy for you to use. But if you're using that energy faster than your body is producing it, there's a lot of friction there. You have two choices. Either you use less energy so that you slow down your outflows so you can cultivate more inflows, balance out the scales. That's one thing, right? Or you can get better at energy production, energy cultivation. You can do both. You can do one or the other. If you're tired all the time, you're fatigued all the time, one of your top priorities is finding energy leakages. There's a lot of your energy that is going towards something. You may not even realize it. You're just hemorrhaging energy in these sneaky little ways. You find out what those things are. Where's your energy going? You may have to do some accounting. Where is it going? It can be little energy leaks. Where are they going? And then energy cultivation. In order for your body to cultivate energy, what do you need? Hydration, oxygen saturation, right? You have to improve your breathing, which means your breathing has to be very efficient at absorbing oxygen to saturate your cells with oxygen. That oxygen is the basis for thermogenesis and energy development. Hydration is a vehicle for oxygen saturation. You cannot deliver oxygen to your cells without hydration, right? So these two things, you focus on optimizing these two things, you increase your energy. So you do something, and then when you do that thing, you get something back in return, something for something, like quid pro quo, right? It's important to think about life in those kind of ways. There's no other way to do it because the program is undefeated. The Manscaped shaver is a dope shaver. Yeah, it's true. I'm over here taking shots at Manscaped and whatnot. It's a good device. I ain't gonna hate on it. Yeah. I haven't necessarily needed one, but you know, I'm not a hairy individual. I was just making the point of me sending me ads that don't got nothing to do with it. You got a lot of tasks in life. You got a lot of responsibilities. You got a lot of things that you're doing. You may have, let's say you want to lose a lot of weight or you want to gain weight. If you want to gain weight, you want to become a larger human being, right? People ask me, I'm on a raw vegan diet, I'm losing a lot of weight. Okay, well, you have to know exactly what your inflows are. You got to know what your outflows are. I'm eating 2,600 calories a day. I'm losing weight rapidly. Well, you may need to recheck your math. Are you actually consuming 2,500 to 2,600 calories a day? Because if you're losing weight rapidly, that would imply that your energy outflows are far exceeding your energy inflows. And if your energy inflows is like, let's say a value of 2,500 to 2,600 calories, well, it begs the question, is that number correct? And then number two, what are your outflows? There may be a hitch in your math somewhere, right? You got some energy leakages that are getting a little out of control. Weight loss is a bit different. You're struggling to lose weight. If you're struggling to lose weight, you're holding on to a lot of body fat. It's an inflows and outflows thing. It is to a degree. But the interesting thing about weight loss or struggling to lose weight is there's a lot of friction between energy inflows and outflows. And what you want to do is you want to be able to choose more adequately what you're using for energy. And you want to be able to control the process in which your body is cultivating energy. Is the energy being developed from fat? Right? Is your body pulling energy from stored fat? Is it pulling energy from stored glycogen in your liver, in your muscle tissue? Where's it coming from? And then hormonal balance, right? Because your hormones dictate the energy development process. Your energy can largely be coming from muscle tissue and not fat. If that's happening, you're over encumbered with stress, way too much stress going on. So the priority has to be stress reduction. And when I say stress, what I mean by stress is a threat to your survival odds. You can store fat all day. Your body will prioritize storing fat if it perceives itself to be under threat. Your body will hold on to fat if it's like, oh, we're in like resource deprivation. We're in danger. Muscle is very metabolically expensive. It's very expensive. And there's an economy that governs your body's energy system. Fat is way cheaper than muscle. Muscle's very expensive, fat's very cheap. If your body has to make a choice, it's going to get rid of the thing that has the highest budget and lean into the cheaper thing. So it'll prioritize maintaining and keeping the cheaper thing and getting rid of the more expensive thing. It's like downsizing, right? You got a large house, a large apartment, or whatever the case is, and you're not making enough money to be able to afford to keep it. You might have to do some downsizing. The human body's the same exact way. But when you reduce the stress, you improve your sun exposure, you improve your sleep quality, you improve hydration, and there's an abundance of resources, your body says, we're safe. And that inclines your body to be more likely to gain and hold on to muscle mass and get rid of the fat mass, the extra fat mass that it feels it doesn't need. That's just how it works. Your body don't care if you want a six-pack. You're not going to sit up here and work yourself to the bone and slave yourself for a six-pack. You can try it. It may even work for a little bit, but you're going to have to give up something for something. Quid pro quo. So if you slave yourself, you cut your food intake, you starve yourself, you get down your body fat, you imagine to do it. And you can get there likely in your early 20s, something like that. But as you get older, it's harder to do that repeatedly. The body becomes more resistant to doing it every time you do it because your body adapts. So if you lose a lot of weight and then you gain it back, it's going to be harder to lose it again, and it becomes harder and harder to keep losing it because your body adapts to it. Your body goes, oh, this happened before, I lost way too much body fat. So you want to get rid of the body fat, but your body wants to keep it because your body's like, hey, we're in danger. I'm not trying to give this up. We need this. Stored body fat is like canned beans. If the fresh produce runs out in the grocery store, guess where you're going to go? Canned beans, canned foods. We don't have the luxury of expensive fresh produce. That's for the good times. So you need good times. So for those of us who are 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60, 65 years old, 70 plus, all this, the rules are a bit different. Stress management, because you got a lot of miles on you. Your body had to adapt to a lot of struggle, had to adapt to a lot of danger, had to adapt to a lot of friction, right? So if you've managed to live to 60, 65, 70, 75 years old, it's because your body got really good at not dying. And your body wants to not die for as long as possible, and it will do what it has to do in order to not die. Don't care if you want a six-pack or not. Don't care. The body is like, I just want to not die. All that, you want extra lines in your stomach, you want your stomach to be all flat and all this. Don't care. We can have a flat stomach if it is safe to do so. All right? Terms and conditions. You will never defeat the program. That's why I'm always harping on stress management. Got to know the rules. So if you're 45 years old and you're listening to a 20-year-old telling you how to lose weight, major discrepancy there. Totally different set of circumstances, because you wouldn't be listening to that 20-year-old about anything else. You have a 20-year-old lecture you about have a healthy marriage when you've been married for 15, 20 years and they not married, or they've been married for like 2 years? No. You're gonna be like, well, you got some experience left to gain before you can really talk to me about this. Right? Everything pretty much works that way. It's not really about the person's age, but it's about knowing the rules. It's about having the experience. So what people would say to me, well, if I'm 65 years old, why should I listen to you about health stuff? Well, you don't have to listen to me. But it's probably a good idea to do so, because you may want to listen to somebody who knows the rules. I don't advise people on what to do based on what works for me. That's a breaking of the rules. Right? If you're on the west side of town, I'm on the east side of town, I have to give you directions for you to get to where you want to go based on where you are, not where I am. We're on different sides of town. Right? When you go into Google Maps and you want directions on how to get somewhere, it's going to ask you first, where are you currently located? And then where do you want to go? It's not based on anybody else's location, it's based on yours. With my coaching, I do the same exact thing. It's not about what I do personally. So people ask me, hey, what do you do? Well, don't worry about what I do. Unless we're starting from the same place. Those are the rules. So, knowing the simplest thing, right? Because you start from baseline of what the rules are and you make sure you don't break the rules. When you do that, you get a lot of energy from doing that. Inflows and outflows. Pressure works and stress works in a very particular way. Stress can be a very good thing, but stress becomes deeply problematic if you push too heavily into it. You become more overextended, you get burnt. Ooh. So, here's an example of that. And I apply the rules of stress to fitness. Stress, for example, builds muscle. But too much stress breaks down muscle. Stress, you only benefit from stress when you recover from it. So if you're going to take on a lot of stress, well, you have to know, okay, well, when are you going to stop? So if you're like, hey, I want to lose weight, so I'm going to run 10 miles a day. How long are you going to do that for? I'm going to do it for as long as it takes in order for me to get to my goal weight. What if you accumulate the fatigue from the stress too high before you can reach your goal weight? What happens? You don't run the 10 miles until you reach your goal weight. That's not really how that works, because you'll accumulate too much fatigue oftentimes before you get there. If you have to lose a tremendous amount of weight, well, you're going to have to play the long game. Right? The larger your goal is, pacing becomes a lot more important. You can do some real extreme crash diet stuff to drop like 5, 10, 15, 20 pounds. But if it's like you got to drop 50 to 100, 75, 125, 150 plus, and you want to do something real extreme to lose it real fast, well, you're going to have to give something up that you don't want to give up. That's a real extreme effort. And the thing is that it can work in your favor, or it can completely cut against you. It is a gamble. I often equate things to economics, and one of the economic examples that I use is trading. Right? Let's say trading in a futures market. There's an asset you want to bet on. Let's say I want to place a trade on NVIDIA. Right? Tech company. I want to put $10,000. I have $10,000 in cash. I want to place a $10,000 trade for NVIDIA. I want to make $1 million off of this $10,000 trade. Okay. What's your timeline? I want to be able to do it in 90 days. Okay. How much volatility is there on that chart, right? Will price go up and down, is having these big swings? Or there's a lot of volatility, or there's enough to make that kind of money? Okay. How much leverage do you have to use? Meaning, how much money are you going to borrow from the exchange in order to amplify your trade? 10x, 20x, 30, 40x. You can go $10,000, 50x leverage. If the trade goes in your favor, oh, you can make crazy money. You make that $1 million real fast. But if the trade cuts against you, you blow your account, you lose that whole $10,000 overnight. And that price move real quick. The more leverage you use, it cuts against you, the emotions set in. And Lord knows it's a really emotional roller coaster. Most people can't handle those emotions. So yeah, if it works, oh, you're set. It's one of the greatest wins you'll ever have in your whole entire life. But if it don't, you're gonna lose that whole $10,000 real quick. And it's gonna hurt. As an individual, especially if one of your traits is chaos, that may be fine for you. I'm all right. And that's what I do. I'm chaotic. I take these huge risks. Either I fail big time or I'm deeply successful. And go for it. Just a matter of what is your threshold for losses. There's consequences for that. You're going to have to give something up. And you're going to have to be okay with the loss. If it cuts against you, you're going to have to be okay with the loss. And do you have the emotional and mental bandwidth to be able to deal with the loss? How deep of a cut are you willing to take? So in pursuing a major weight loss, the more aggressive you get, the more of a risk you have of getting injured. And you get injured, you deal with the emotions of the injury, there's certain things you can't do, you have these physical handicaps. The weight's not coming off fast enough, it really wears on you mentally. We tired. Because overstimulation is often a result of the fatigue just being way too high and not enough recovery. Ricardo, what's going on? Good morning. So these are some things to consider, right? So we come down to stress management, taking things off your plate. If you're gonna push real hard, you can say, hey, you know what, this week, I'm gonna push it 100%. I'm gonna train 7 days this week. But next week, I'm not really gonna train at all. So this week is gonna be a really hard week. Next week is gonna be a recovery week. Right? That's a good strategy. Or I'm gonna push really hard for this amount of time, 8 weeks, 12 weeks. I'm gonna push it real hard. Alternate day fasting, 36-hour fasts. I'm gonna go for, I'm gonna walk 6 to 10 miles on my fasting days. I'm gonna go to bed without eating in a fasted state. And on top of that, I'm gonna go fully raw on my diet. I'm gonna do that for 12 weeks. I'm gonna train with resistance bands, first thing in the morning, training through the sunrise. You do that, you do it consistently 12 weeks. Within that 12 weeks, you can drop a minimum of 20 pounds. Or you can drop 40 pounds, 12 weeks. Some people 50 pounds, 60 pounds. They can come off real quick. It varies from person to person and how well you execute. What's your bedtime? What's your sleep quality? What are the thoughts you're thinking? How much do you have on your plate? You manage your stress well enough? You stay locked in? That 12-week push, you can drop 40 pounds. And then when you come off the strategy, maybe you gain back 10 of those pounds, but you're still at a net of 30 pounds down. You may give yourself another 8 weeks to kind of slow roll it, where you can gradually get back to dropping off those original 10 pounds that you gained back, or at least 5 of them. You recover your mental and emotional bandwidth from the journey of the alternate day fasting, and then you do your next 12 weeks. And so you can eat away with the weight loss. Right? You can say, well, what if instead of doing it for 12 weeks, what if I just did it for the whole year? And for a whole year, you're definitely going to drop that 100 pounds in that year. At least. But I'm telling you right now, it's not going to be easy. When you're in the long haul, it's not going to be easy. And where your most success is playing the long game. Because when you play the long game, there's less risk. You'll have challenging times, you'll have hard times, but you're not going to get knocked out of the game. If you decide, I want to trade $10,000, but I'm only going to enter into a trade with 20 to 25% of the total $10,000. Small position size, high leverage. Only trade with the amount of money you're willing to lose. You have a solid strategy, 10 trades out, let's say you win 6 trades out of 10. Still pretty good, 60% win rate. You're guaranteed to not blow your account, but the money that you gain, it may happen slower, but you significantly reduce your risk. And if you want long-term success, reduce your risk. It may take longer to get to where you want to go, but you significantly increase the likelihood of you getting there if you reduce the risk. Good risk management. Universal law. The only time you put risk management to the side and you go all in, high risk, is because you're desperate and you ain't got a whole lot of time. Then you can get extreme with it. You get into a really risky bet, but you do that because, well, the long game is not on the table. So if you don't have time, well, then that's when you have to take more risk. If you have more time, you take less risk. It's a sliding scale. When you entertain these conversations and you look at things, you filter things through this technical analysis, that starts to eat away at the fatigue. It starts to make life a little bit more exciting because now you have direction. It's a hedge against the fatigue. Focus, clarity, that eats away at the confusion that is causing you to be fatigued. And then if you have a strategy that narrows things down, you're not as overstimulated because you're taking excessive things off your plate. And when you take excess things off your plate, it often plugs up your energy leakages. So you reduce your energy leaks, you remove overstimulation, and then you remove the fatigue, confusion, when you create more clarity. And that's how you go from "we tired, boss" to "okay, we can do this. We got a direction. We're all in. We go in a straight line. You don't feel so fatigued anymore." It takes a while to get there. It happens day by day, gradually. But that internal dialogue, having that to create that clarity, plug up those energy leaks, get rid of the excess, trim the fat, get more dialed in, more narrow, more focus. Remove the confusion. You don't need more information. Not really. You need better information. And better information produces more clarity and is less feedback. It's more narrow. That's why I go to the rules. Inflows and outflows. Most of us are playing the long game. The only time you play the short games is because you don't have time. So, I don't produce a whole lot of social media content. I just don't. I don't use social media much. I can't. It's too much. I don't want all this dialogue and stuff in my head. I don't like a whole lot of other people's thoughts in my head. I don't like it. It's too much. Wears me out. And for me, look, I'm a person, I don't like a lot of attention, to be honest with you. I don't. Which is kind of weird because people typically who make content on the internet, they want attention. I only want attention for specific things, and those specific things are mainly important areas of conversation where I can contribute to the discourse in a meaningful way to improve lives. I don't want attention for the sake of attention. Right? You can probably tell by the type of content that I put out and the frequency. Conversations like this are very important to have. It's important for me, it's important for you, it's a very important conversation to all of us who are here. And it's very intentional. The music, the sound of the water, my pacing, my delivery when I tell you things, the emphasis on very specific points, the emphasis on the rules, the essence of who you are, narrowing these things down, giving you the economic examples, all this kind of stuff. You would have to watch this back a couple times because it is a lot of information, but it needs to be because I have to give you the full picture. I don't like piecemealing the information because then people come back and they're like, well, you said, and I'm like, well, it's context dependent. So I try to give you as much of that context up front as I can. So me not eating enough is causing the weight not to budge. Remember I told you. And you know this. This is like the main struggle. Either you're going to be well fed or not eat at all. Remember I told you that? I've been saying this for years. It's a hard thing. I mean, it's such an easy thing to forget. Don't diddle in the middle. I did a live stream on this. I did a separate video about this. I doubled up on that topic. Do not diddle in the middle. Either you're gonna be well fed or you don't eat at all. Either you fasting or you're well fed. In the raw vegan diet, the reason why I emphasize raw vegan so much is because a raw vegan diet is a way of eating more without overburdening, over-encumbering your digestive tract. That cooked food, it's heavy. Raw foods is light, but it's a lot of volume. More volume, right? You need more volume, but you also need just more density of energy. Right? You need, what do you need? Oxygen saturation, you need hydration. If you gotta eat more, you gotta start eating earlier, that's fine. I tell people, look, the fruitarian approach or the alternate day fasting, it's typically one or the other when it comes to something like weight loss, correcting metabolic health issues, something for something. I'm currently on week 5 of alternate day fasting. First time I tried it last year, I only made it to week 3. This year, I'm making a lot of progress. There we go. I just had to plan more effectively. There you go. I'm telling you, that alternate day, it just works. And if you want to eat every day, you want to do, you can do raw fruitarian, it works. You don't need all of this protein and you don't need starchy foods and all, but you really don't. A raw fruitarian diet, it just narrows things down. It narrows the focus. You force your body to metabolize more fat because you ain't really taking in any fat. So your body's only going to be able to use what you got. Right? So basically a raw fruitarian diet is just water and energy. And if you give your body an abundance of water and energy, your metabolism is going to respond very effectively to that. Because if we tired, boss, because we don't got it, we rated and we got a lack of energy, well, a fruitarian diet will fix that. Right? That's increasing your inflows of energy and you're getting better quality energy. Starchy foods, one of the biggest problems with the starchy foods is it's dehydrating. It absorbs a lot of the water. It's drier. Fruit versus like your starchy foods that you gotta cook, those things have 4 times the energy density, but the fruit has 4 times the water. So you get 4 times the hydration. So the energy in the fruit is oftentimes more accessible for use immediately from the fruit, which is what makes it a better energy source. If you're going to eat more cooked foods, you're probably going to eat less frequently. Because you put too much cooked food in at one time, your body can't really process it as fast as it's coming in. So you can over encumber your gut. It's not the case for everybody, but some people and a lot of people with metabolic or gut health issues, this is often the case for them. Whatever I suggest is based on what the rules are. How can we better manage inflows versus outflows? How do we plug up our energy leaks? How do we improve energy cultivation? Sun exposure. I always emphasize sun exposure. Sun exposure is a key part of energy cultivation. The further away you are from the sun, the harder it is for energy cultivation. The only reason why there is life on Earth is because of sun exposure. You remove the sun exposure, everything dies because there's poor energy cultivation. All comes back to that, right? The content you take in, the content you're watching, is it fatiguing you? Is it wearing you down? Is it causing you to have more negative thoughts? Negative thoughts result as energy leaks. All right. If you're listening to music, positive vibes, if you're watching live streams like this, well, it's the opposite. This is more conducive to energy cultivation. It's all a matter of managing inflows and outflows. But I don't want to belabor the point. I think I've said enough. All right. I had one cooked meal the first week. After that, it's been straight raw. I'm breaking my fast with one of your salad recipes. Here we go. Created a trend where I only began to crave fruits, nuts, and vegetables. That's right. We locked in. You're in the zone. That's right. Big shout out to you. And welcome to the community. Good to see you jumping in here. You said we spoke a year ago, by the way. Oh. I usually remember the people that I speak to. So if I get like a last name or some context behind the conversation that we had, or I see a face, I'll remember you. I'll open up the floor real quick. Anybody want to get on the mic in Discord, ask me the questions, anything like that? Any questions, any additional questions before we jump?
I guess I got one question.
There we go. My man Jay, what's going on? Good morning.
Good morning. Sorry for joining late. I did get that little bit of extra sleep. I guess the question I have is like how important, because it's somewhat related, I guess, maybe. How important is the night supplement? Taking the night supplements, and then because those are the ones that I tend to forget. Like I do really good with all the morning stuff, but then at the end of the day I forget. Or the end of my end of days are a lot less productive than my beginning of the days. So just kind of curious about those evening supplements, like the magnesium and other things. I haven't been taking them as much, but maybe you can jolt me a little bit.
So it's the zinc, the magnesium, and what else?
So I get in the morning I do the zinc and I do the magnesium, what's that? The one that starts with a B.
Biglycinate?
Biglycinate, yeah. And then often I get the vitamin D in with the first meal. And then I haven't been doing the other ones after that. I think Suppose that at night you said to switch to magnesium glycinate,
Mm-hmm.
and there was something else. I forget. Maybe it was taurine or something. I don't know.
No, I think GABA. So because if we're talking about at night, that implies like sleep quality. So as far as sleep quality, the stack is going to be zinc, magnesium, 5-HTP, and GABA. You don't have to do all of those, but those are some of the top ones. Taurine can go either way because taurine gives you more energy when your energy is low, and it has a more calming effect when your energy. So it's a stabilizer, right? Taurine creates a higher level of mental and emotional resilience. It balances brain chemistry. Taurine is very interesting because it's an amino acid that is not really used in the building blocks of proteins. It's more of a medicinal amino acid, right? So you have non-essential and you have essential amino acids. It's a conditionally essential amino acid. It's really important for managing things like the size of your cells, how much water is being retained in your cells. It modulates in cellular inflammation, where it reduces cellular inflammation and then balances out water hydration levels, things like this. Taurine is a really good way of balancing out the body. So if you're having difficulty sleeping, taurine can improve your sleep quality by balancing out some hitches somewhere in your brain chemistry. So that might have been one of the reasons why I would have recommended taurine at night. All right. Taurine is really good for things like edema and neuropathy, generally speaking. Right. However, it's a bit circumstantial. I think it's not really going to help a lot if you're doing something that is actively creating high levels of inflammation in your body. So you would have to address that thing first in order for the taurine to really work. Ideally, you should be using both at the same time, stopping the thing that's causing the inflammation, and then the taurine helps to balance things out on the scales. GABA increases the conversion of glutamic acid and converts it into gamma alpha butyric acid, which is basically a calming thing. Glutamate or glutamic acid is excitatory. The GABA is the opposite. So glutamic acid should be higher earlier in the day, and then it should convert into GABA as you get later on into the day as the sun goes down. So supplementing with something like GABA at night helps you to calm down at night and get into a deeper sleep. The magnesium and the zinc work together to bring your blood sugar down and increase insulin sensitivity. That's important because as your blood sugar comes down to an adequate fasted blood sugar level, and then you implement something like GABA, this causes a higher level of melatonin synthesis at night with the lights out. Melatonin kind of inhibits insulin from increasing. So there's a sliding scale between like melatonin and insulin. There's like a handshake agreement between the two. So ideally, you want to bring your blood sugar down to a fasted state and then have that spike in that melatonin at night before bed. So those type of supplements help to facilitate that process, which is why I would recommend it. The worse your sleep quality is, the more important those supplements become. All right. Now, you don't have to take those supplements. You don't have to. Supplements with a fruit bowl at night. So maybe like before bed at night, you're having grapes, grapefruit, tangerines, mango or kiwis, things like this. You can have like a mix of fruit before bed, and the fruit will give you a temporary blood sugar spike, but have your blood sugar come down faster, give you hydration, and those fruits that have a higher level of B6, which causes an increased conversion of tryptophan into 5-HTP. This stimulates a higher level of 5-HTP, GABA, and melatonin synthesis, right? So serotonin converts into melatonin in the brain, it's secreted and allows for really good sleep quality. So the fruit bowl at night actually helps to do that, right? So there's multiple ways to do it. It depends on your lifestyle, or what you feel more comfortable doing, that type of thing. So there is an individualized approach to it, right? So I would ask you, on a scale of 1 to 5, how would you rank your sleep quality on average?
It's been getting worse. But I think it's probably gonna get a little bit better. I had like this mobile game I was playing. It's kind of a grinder sometimes, so
Uh-oh.
that was cutting. Yeah, that was cutting to my sleep. But then the other day I was able to finish everything sooner, but I still was having difficulties like waking up sooner and getting back to sleep. So it could be that's a factor. But then I just realized I also wasn't doing the supplements either, so that usually
Okay.
help. But I do the grapes, I usually at night, because like doing the mobile thing, like I'm fighting the craving because that also like the mobile thing also kind of like creates like stupid craving sometimes, right? The entertainment, right? The what do you call it? Release of the serotonins and all that stuff. But I'm usually able to fight that off with the grapes and maybe like a grapefruit if I really need it. So,
Got you.
but I've been staying on plan.
Yeah, so I would say basically, it's the gaming that's messing your sleep up. That screen exposure, especially if you're having that screen exposure with all the lights out. Too much in your eyes at one time. Because basically your brain gets exposed to this blue light and interprets it as daylight. This is going to deeply interfere with melatonin secretion. And that's going to negatively affect your sleep quality. So the screen exposure and all that before night, that will reduce your sleep quality.
And then one
And then the mobile gaming thing also, this is gonna wear out your dopamine sensitivity. You're getting too many dopamine hits, and that's also gonna negatively affect your sleep.
Okay, so negatively affects the sleep, which negatively affects the results, basically, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah. As far as GABA, that's the first time I've heard of that one. What type of dosage should I be taking? Is it a pill? Is it a powder?
Yeah, you can get it in a capsule or a powder form. Normally 750 milligrams is enough. You can do it in a powder form, and I think you can do anywhere from 1,200 to 1,500 milligrams. Right, that works too. But a minimum, I would say, is like 750 typically is enough.
All right, and then do I take it right before bed or an hour before bed or?
Yeah, 45 minutes before bed, something like this. Yeah.
Okay. All right, and then one last question. So like sometimes like when you're online, like they'll be saying like certain supplements or certain manufacturers might put like lead or something like that in some of these supplements. You think that's really a thing?
You said putting lead in the set? No, I mean you can have and this is where you could do like a study for like if lead is showing up in a supplement, that's probably because they're getting heavy metal leaching into the product because of the machinery that they're processing it on. Lead contamination typically though is usually an issue with like whey protein powders and things like this. But you can actually look up online third-party testing for supplements to see what type of score they got for like heavy metal contamination, things like this.
Okay. Yeah, I'd like to do that. It's just sometimes I look at certain things and I'm like, this white powder supposed to have like, like silver grains in there.
No.
Sorry about that. This train.
No, it's not.
Getting my morning walk in.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. No.
And so sometimes yeah. So like so I'm like, okay, maybe it's there because I took off this like the wrapper. Like in the wrapper kind of has like the silver stuff. On the bottom of it that's thick, that's glued to the top. So, but then I don't know. I got some more investigation to do, but you're right. It's not supposed to have that in there. So I'll figure it out. But I think I need to go and look at which ones I have, and then even look at that lead testing report you're talking about, and then just picking a better product maybe.
Mm-hmm.
I think you mentioned that you do the thorn one.
Yeah.
that's a pretty high quality. Cause I've been doing like what's the one that comes with Amazon? It comes in like I think it's essentials or something like that. Like usually it's white and blue. I forget the name of the brand. Nature? No, I don't know. Probably not Nature, but anyway, I'll look into it.
Okay, gotcha. All right.
Thanks,
Let's see. Miss D, how do I stop inflammation? If it's allergy related, that means I cannot control the stress. You can modulate the stress with taurine. I know I recommended the taurine to you a ways back. Taurine is really good for that
I
sort
still
of
have
thing.
taurine. I
Yeah.
still got the taurine.
Yeah, the taurine is really good for improving blood pressure, blood sugar, edema, neuropathy, things like this. Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, basically, I mean, I would say 2 grams at a time, maybe like 3 times a day to give you a total like 6 grams. So you could do taurine first thing in the morning, you could do it in the afternoon, and do it at night before bed. All right. Taurine doesn't have a taste, so you don't got to worry about a bad taste or anything like that. It's not like a thick powder or anything like that, so it's pretty easy to take. You don't need to flavor it or anything like this. All right.
Thanks.
As far as allergies is concerned, in my experience, that's mainly like a gut health issue, which we talked about. So gut health remains the goal, right? As far as improving that gut microbiome. And staying hydrated. I mean, as long as you stay hydrated. I mean, I've had seasonal allergies, things like this. So them kiwis, I know is a big deal. Papaya, mango, your berries, that watermelon, cantaloupe, honeydew, your avocado, your tender leafy green vegetables, fresh parsley, oregano, basil. Right? These things are really important for that gut health. All right. Well, yeah, we've been on here for a while. Rockin', appreciate y'all for tuning in.
Thanks,
this
Coach.
morning. Absolutely. Pleasure talking to everybody. Much love. And catch you on the next one. Tribe community members will be back here Thursday, 7 p.m. Eastern for the Tribe Community Group Coaching Call. And Public Square Live will be back on next Tuesday morning, 9 a.m. Eastern.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks,
Have a good
Coach.
rest of your week.
Absolutely. Talk to
Hey,
you.
Coach, can you type out Gabba for me so like just throw it in the chat for me? I'll go ahead and purchase it when I get there.
Absolutely. All right. Sure thing.
All right, thanks. All right, have a good one.